This is World Now on TVC News. Welcome. We'll begin with Israel's decision to eliminate new Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, which it alleges to be the mastermind of the 7th of October attack, with regional hostilities threatening to boil over as the Gaza war enters its 11th month. Israel has vowed to the naming of Mr. Sinwar to lead the Palestinian militant group comes as Israel is preparing itself for potential Iranian retaliation over the killing of his predecessor, Ismail Haniyeh, last week in Tehran. Speaking at a military base, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel is prepared, both defensively and offensively, to carry out its plan. Israel's Army Chief Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi has vowed to find him the new Hamas leader and attack him. Since 2017, Yahya Sinwar, the new Hamas leader, has not been seen since the 7th of October attack, the deadliest in Israel's history. Well, let's talk some more about the tension in the Middle East. And joining us is Kunle Falawor, Global Affairs Analyst from Indianapolis. Good to have you join us, Mr. Falawor. It's the 307 of the Israel-Hamas war. And it does seem that with each day comes new threats. What do you make of Israel's warning to eliminate Hamas's new leader?
Thank you for having me. So this is very heightened tension, tumultuous, like I always say, very nerve-wracking. It's very sad and unfortunate when you hear rhetoric from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu threatening and promising to eliminate the new Hamas leader. But it gets very interesting when you're looking for a way to juxtapose trying to eliminate a potential individual who heads Hamas, this same set of individuals are the same ones that are supposed to be at the negotiating table talking about how they could broker peace. So if you're threatening to eliminate that same person who heads the organization that you're trying to broker peace with, how is that going to efficiently and effectively work? So that is a very big question that world leaders and political analysts all over the world are kind of put together because it's going to be very difficult, because this is an uncharted territory because the new Hamas's leader is very, very tough, and he is one of those individuals that he's a fighter and doesn't really not the one that you'll be able to see, and the chances of brokering peace at this moment is very very slim.
And you know that he is actually also believed to be the mastermind, or call him one of those behind the October 7th attack on Israel.
Absolutely.
Yes, but let's look at, there is a statement from the Iranian acting foreign minister, and he believes that Israel made a strategic mistake that will cost it dearly. And that's by killing Hamas's political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, following which we now have a new leader there. How do you view that statement?
So as it is, Hamas is not, let me put it this way, Hamas might be looked upon as a terrorist or a political or a military group. But depending on who you're talking to, but at the end of the day, Hamas is an idea that is ingrained in the hearts of a lot of people, Palestinians, particularly Palestinians in Gaza. They're seen as a group that is fighting for a just cause and for the place for the people of Gaza to cohabit and live peacefully. So it's to a lot of people Palestinians in Gaza, it's a political movement. It's a movement of the heart. So there's no way that you could try and eliminate their leader without having somebody else take over that position and continue with the struggle. So yes, it was a mistake, and it just goes a long way to show you that with this, act of trying to eliminate the leaders, that is not addressing the root cause of the problem. The problem is trying to broker peace and trying to figure out a way to have an independent Gaza and have a free Palestinian people who have an independent state. Now, if that's not going to be happening anytime soon, unfortunately, we might be still having the same problems that we're currently having right now.
And talking about brokering peace for about 11 months now, we've been on it, day after day talking about solutions, because now it does appear that the war is taking regional dimensions. And, Hezbollah itself is becoming fully involved in this war. And there are fears that the Middle East might just be turning to a war zone, as it were. How do we de-escalate tensions?
That's a great question and a very complicated and a difficult one to answer. First and foremost, the new Hamas's leader, like I said before, is someone who is not very interested in brokering peace. He wants full war, and they're cut out for it. I'd like to also remind our viewers that he was imprisoned somewhere around 2015, 14, thereabout, in Israel, and they had a prisoner swap between Israel and people of Gaza, and he was out. He spent so many years incarcerated in Israel, so he has a vendetta. He has, he would want to show, the Israeli team that he is, out and he means business. So this is going to be very tough. But at the end of the day, what we're looking for is hopefully, with all the Egyptians and Qatari negotiators and the politicians and mediators all over the place, especially in the Middle East, hopefully they'll be able to find a lasting and a long-term solution to the problem, because an all-out war is not going to be beneficial to Israeli or any entity in the Middle East.
You've just mentioned that he himself doesn't seem to be cut out for peace. And Benjamin Netanyahu would tell you that he's fighting for the defense of his own territory. And I'm just trying to imagine the enormity of task ahead of these negotiators, around that border, just trying to ensure peace in this area. From the body language, what would you say is the countenances, of these leaders of these two sides now towards achieving peace? Because you've mentioned that an all-out war is not, in the best interest of anyone.
Definitely. From the side of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he has a very big task, and one of those prominent tasks is to continue to remain in power, continue being the Israeli Prime Minister, and there seems to be a lot of crack in that mission, because some of his cabinet members are not very confident of the fact that he wants to, there's no short, long, and short, medium, and long-term plans. There might be short-term, but there's no long-term plan as far as what the war will become of it eventually. So he needs to kind of reckon with that. Having said that, there seems to be also some cracks in a division, as to what comes of the Israeli Gaza war. People are not very satisfied. There's international outcry, and he has to contend with that also. And for him to continue to remain in power, he needs to look for a way to see that he's on top of the situation, and his political life really hangs on the fact that, the Israeli team defeats Hamas. But again, that's a very difficult task, a very difficult hurdle for him to cross. Time will just kind of, show us what's going to happen. But on the side of the, Palestinians in Gaza, the new Hamas leader is someone who also wants to, settle the score and trying to let them know that he means business. So for both teams, they are also wanted by the International Criminal Court for alleged war crimes. So it's very complicated. This is an uncharted territory. It's a new dimension altogether. And, in the Middle East itself, they're kind of not knowing what to do. Everybody's still just scampering and trying to figure out what is going to happen next. But, the situation is quite tense. But hopefully they'll be able to reason to get together, because the long-term goal for both parties is to look for a way to broker peace and have the people of Gaza live like normal human beings and have independence and try to do what they want to do by just living and not being, hunted by anyone or any entity.
And Mr. Fallow, as it is, we have a huge humanitarian problem on our hands, because you will agree this has now become a global issue. We hear that about 40,000 people have already lost their lives since the 7th of October attack actually took place. And I mean, it's really so sad. How do we handle this? The UN believes that it's not getting as much access to deliver the much needed aid. And on another hand, the UN itself doesn't seem to be receiving all of the support it requires from the world to be able to offer the support that these vulnerable individuals are in dire need of.
Great. So it takes concerted effort by world leaders and especially the United States, who have reiterated their commitment to continue to provide support, material needs, and every other supplies that the people of Gaza will be needing to take care of themselves while they're being bombed and humiliated by the Israeli side. However, we'll still need to kind of continue to call out those individuals that are making it extremely difficult to have the international humanitarian team get access to Gaza. And that's unfortunate, because there seems to be a lot of allegations that the Israeli military are making it very difficult, or if not impossible, for the United Nations, for example, or the humanitarian agencies from different entities to go in and provide those materials to the people of Gaza. And part of their concern was the Hamas team they've already infiltrated those civilians, and they are getting those materials for themselves, and they don't want to do that because they're potentially in the war with them, and they don't want to feed them and take care of them. So you cannot identify them. You can't differentiate between ordinary people of Gaza and people fighting for Hamas and the rest of them. So it's very complicated, and there's really nothing to do than to allow for humanitarian agencies to gain access to the people of Gaza and provide them what they need. And on the side of Israel, they need to provide that protection and have security for them while they do their job.
All right, then. Kunle Fallow is Global Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much for talking to us on World Now.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.